Welcome to the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I am your host, Jackson Rudolph, and this is episode 101, brought to you by the one and only, the legendary Black Belt Magazine, and we are taking it all the way back to episode 1 of this podcast. Before we even did anything on film, before it was posted on Facebook, it was just like a little podcast that I uploaded to a random podcast app, and that's where the first episode went. And the very first episode was a topic that I am very passionate about, which is, as you see below, if point fighters were NBA players. And we are going to be drawing some of those comparisons tonight. I still remember one of my biggest inspirations to start doing a podcast was the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff from Martial Arts Center Network. And I said, hey, I want to do something like that too. So huge shout out to Martial Arts Center Network and crew. And when I posted that first episode, Alex Dingmann was in my DMs. We were talking about it, different comparisons. And so tonight for episode 101, he is going to be on the show. He's going to be giving some of his comparisons. And the twist for tonight is that we are doing all active point fighters and active NBA players. We'll mix in some all-time as well, but we're going to have a whole lot of fun, especially with the NBA playoffs going on right now. My very own Boston Celtics with a 3-2 lead in their series against Miami, so I can talk my talk tonight. Hopefully they can finish things up with Game 6 tomorrow night, but I digress. First thing we got to do before we bring Alex in, I'm going to run through the sport karate news this week. As you know, for season 3 of this podcast, we do this in segments, so we always start the show with some sport karate news. Huge news for Team Paul Mitchell this week as another player received the opportunity to wear the black and white. The youngest fighter in the history of the storied Paul Mitchell franchise, Sebastian Villanueva of Texas. He is the newest member of Team Paul Mitchell. So welcome to the team, Sebastian. We're super excited to have you. And I'm pumped about that addition. I'm pumped to see us get a new fighter. And Paul Mitchell's destined for even more great things than what they've been up to for the last 35 plus years. In other news, another big signing was Angel Perez. Angel Perez, the junior competitor who showed up at his first ever NASCAR tournament at the 2021 Battle of Atlanta, wound up winning the whole thing, won the overall grand championship. Canell Loveless has picked him up as a member of Team Revolution. So congratulations to Team Revolution for that pickup. And then finally, there is a huge promoter announcement coming out of the Pan American Internationals. There's a new ownership group that still involves Professor Manny Reyes Sr., as well as Alex Reyes, Tony Hamsani, head coach of Team Legend, and Ray Bryant. There's a new ownership group, for the Pan American International. So congratulations to all those involved. Very exciting news for that tournament down in Miami, a tournament that I've always had a ton of fun competing at. So that was a speed run of the news for this evening. We'll go ahead and kick that out. And without further ado, it's time to bring in the man himself, Alex Dingmann. Welcome to the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. This is your first episode on the show. I don't know how I went 100 episodes without having you. But first, just for our audience, introduce yourself a little bit, because you were a pretty good point fighter in your day too.
I was all right. You know, I don't know quite if there's like I don't know if I'm quite good enough to have a comparison to an NBA player, but man, yeah, I had myself some good times when I was a fighter. I did forms, but man, I did fighting for way longer. I would say my top level national, we'll just say NASCAR, because that was, it's the best circuit. Really, when I decided I'm going into it, was probably the year 2000. And, I just hung him up at the end of 2019, which is that was the last tournament I ever did. And it doesn't feel, I feel like bummed, like, oh man, I'm not doing it again. But I'm telling you, like, lockdown hit at the perfect time for me, because my body said, you are done, my friend. Right. So I am done, my friend. But man, I can't wait to get into this one. Dude, this is cool. I'm on the Jackson Rudolph Podcast, brother. This is nice.
That's awesome. I'm stoked. And hey, for everybody tuning in, if you're a sport karate fan, like, this right now is probably the closest we will ever get to like First Take, right? Or like Undisputed with Stephen Shannon. Like, there's a reason they call him Stephen A. Dingmann, right? If you're a Stephen A. Smith fan, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna hear some of those takes tonight. and it's my job to be the Skip Bayless and bring order back to this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, so Alex, how do you want to do it, man? Do you want to like flip-flop on who goes first, player to player?
I think maybe we should, but I got to tell you, for all our current fighters, I don't have just current NBA players because I love the NBA. I love the NBA so much. So I tried to pick the most accurate of comparisons. And I'm telling you, my comparisons are good. A lot of guys from the 90s and the 2000s. There's some guys that I have from the 80s in there too, as far as NBA players, but all comparisons to active fighters right now. So I apologize. Maybe we had miscommunication there. It's probably my fault. Let's be honest. This is my fault.
It'll be okay. Hey, that makes it more exciting too. And honestly, it might draw some better comparisons because I'll admit some of mine active fighter to active NBA player, little bit of a reach, but I got a justification.
Word.
And then another thing, let's first talk about some of our criteria. So like one thing that I did is that lightweights, I typically tried to keep to guards, whereas heavyweights were typically forwards and centers. So trying to match up the size of the fighter to the size of the NBA player.
Yeah, I did a little bit of the same with that as well.
Like accolades and stuff in addition to play style. Any additional criteria you included?
Absolutely. So I did the same type of thing, but a lot of it that I looked at was personalities, and like the way that they played the game, right? Like it's hard for me, and I'll tell you this. It's hard for me to compare anyone to Shaq. I've never seen anybody in any activity in the history of the world that quite is like Shaq. So just something like that. You know what I mean? But let's just jump into it, man. I'm excited for this.
Let's dive into it. All right. So now I'll put the heat on first since it was my idea to do this, right? So first one I came up with is somebody that I mentioned all the way back in episode 1 when I was including all-time NBA players. And I said in episode 1 that Jack Felton was a really good comparison to Steve Nash, right? Like Steve Nash, sneaky 2 MVPs. I feel like Jack Felton is an underappreciated point fighter for all of the accolades that he does have. So I feel like there's that comparison. The way they played the game, right? Stoic, focused, obviously extremely high skill level. And so I'm going with another Phoenix Suns point guard as today's comparison as a veteran who is still playing at an extremely high level. I know Chris Paul didn't have the best showing in this playoffs, but to be at his age and competing at the level that he's competing at, he was in the finals last year. To me, Jack Felton, Chris Paul, that makes the most sense right now.
Yeah, I disagree. He's not Chris Paul because Jack Felton, when you look at like Chris Paul, if you look at Steve Nash, there's things that they just cannot do. There are just things on the court they cannot do. There's nothing Jack Felton cannot do. There's not and here's the other thing you think about it. There's not a size of fighter that Jack Felton cannot fight. Jack Felton can fight the shortest fighter. Jack Felton can fight the biggest fighter. You know who has the hardest time against Jack Felton? Is Roman Brundle. Think about it. This guy's got incredible reach and can't touch him. It's amazing. So really, you got to think about it. Jack Felton has to be compared to somebody who can literally do everything. And at one point at one point we were really talking about that. Like Jack Felton, is he the best? Is he the best in the world? Is he the best in the world? I don't know. Ray's fighting. I don't know. Okay, Ray's done. Is it maybe Jack? So you know who Jack Felton is? Tracy McGrady. He's T-Mac. Jack Felton is T-Mac. T-Mac. And the thing about Jack Felton is everybody heard about Jack Felton. Everybody knew about this. Jack Felton. Yeah, we got Jack Felton when he was still a junior. So the same thing with Tracy. When Tracy came out of high school, it was this big deal, right? That he's coming out of high school from Orlando, Florida area, right? Like, this kid can't come out and be all that. He was all that. Tracy McGrady is Jack Felton.
That's good. I like that a lot. And I'll add part of the reason that I liked Jack Felton, Chris Paul was also because what is the thing that Jack Felton gets the most praise for right now? And it's his fight IQ, right? The reason that he can fight so many different fighters so well of so many different skill sets is because his fight IQ is out of this world, much like people talk about Chris Paul's basketball IQ. But I love the T-Mac comparison as well from a career standpoint. That's really good. You want to go first for our second one?
Yeah, let me see. Where's my notes here? All right, let's go. I have a feeling we might agree on this one. So Avery Plowden, whether you went all time or you went current, I think he does compare to a current fighter. And I think the best possible comparison to Avery Plowden is Kawhi Leonard.
Exactly.
So Kawhi Leonard, and you got to think about it, Kawhi Leonard joined a San Antonio Spurs team that didn't need him, right? And I don't want to say that bad about Kawhi or Avery, right? That's not the case, because Kawhi Leonard, when they were in their first NBA finals, he was not an all-star, right? But he was a starter. He was a starter, and he was playing well in playoff games and went to the NBA finals. They went up against LeBron and the Heat, and they didn't win those NBA finals, all right, at first, all right? So, but you got to think about it. That's Avery Plowden. Avery Plowden was on Team Victory and was making noise, but we saw him most often when he was on Impacts. But who else was on Impacts? Johnny Tension was on Impacts. Ross Levine was on Impacts. Jason Grenier was on Impacts. Actually, I'm not sure if Jason Grenier was on Impacts right away. He wasn't, but Troy Binns was. All of those guys we had seen have a lot of success, so they didn't need Avery to be the anchor. Fast forward, not only is he the anchor, he's the anchor of anchors, and he's by far the best fighter on that team. Fast forward, all right, Kawhi Leonard ends up being, I mean, listen, the Toronto Raptors had good all-star players. None of them could hold a candlestick to Kawhi Leonard. It was Kawhi Leonard and some star players, and it was just, he took them the whole way through. That is Avery Plowden.
I couldn't agree more. And then you include all of the other factors. You include demeanor, right? Like just straight face, cool, never cracks under pressure, just that guy, right? Avery Plowden's laugh is a little bit more personable than Kawhi's is, but
just what I was going to say.
Right. And then also the style of play, right? Like you're never really going to see Kawhi do the fancy ankle breaker, fade away. The buzzer beater against Toronto, against Philly's an exception, right? And Kawhi has that in his bag. He can do it. He just rarely chooses to use it. Avery's the same way.
Well, I think one of the best things about
fundamentals, he can do the flashy stuff, but he's going to give you the fundamentals all day long.
I think one of the better things about Kawhi that's such a great comparison is they also call him the Claw because of his amazing defense. You got to remember when Avery really, and listen, if you ever listen to this guy, he is a smart fighter, and he will be very honest about his progression. And he would tell you, listen, I just stood like this. I just stood with an L guard like this, and I would side kick and I would back fist, and occasionally I would body punch, and this is what I did. And he had the best back fist that there was, right? He didn't let points come in. And I think one of the ways that he would describe it is he would say like he didn't have that offensive firepower, so he needed to make sure nothing touched him. They're the same, man.
And for him to use it so well. I mean, we just saw it at Ocean States, right? It was that same L guard defense, like the first defense you learn how to play in point fighting. But it was Enrique Latona, who's considered to be one of the best kickers in the world right now. Avery was shutting down all of the kicks with just the L guard, counter, counter, counter. Next thing you know, Avery's up big and Avery gets that win, right?
Yep.
So I think we see that transfer over the course of his career. The only thing I don't like about that comparison is the fact that Kawhi of late has not been the Kawhi that he was in Toronto, whereas Avery has certainly been prime Avery Plowden in recent years.
Thanks for that clarification, because that is the one thing I feel like as well. Like, and well, you know what? I don't want to dog him. I don't want to dog Kawhi Leonard because if I talk anymore, that's all I'll be able to do.
All right, so we'll move on. So my next one on my list, this one I will give you is a little bit of a stretch, but I still like it. And I still have my reasons for it.
All right.
I'm going with Darren Payne, D-Stacks. I think he's my Giannis right now. And hear me out. Right?
Get that guy.
The reason that D-Stacks is my Giannis, right, is because, first, length and physicality, right? Yes, I know that D-Stacks is not as long as Giannis is.
He's long.
Hardly a human on this planet that is as long as Giannis is. But comparatively, amongst NBA players, I almost said NBA fighters, NBA players, Giannis is the longest of them. And D-Stacks, the length that he has, combined with the musculature of his frame, reminds me a lot of the way that Giannis looks on a basketball court when D-Stacks is in a ring. I also have a career comparison because Giannis is coming off of last season, his first championship that everybody was just waiting on. When is this going to happen, right? And when he entered the league, no one thought that there was a chance of that happening. When Giannis was skinny Greek kid and nobody could pronounce his last name, nobody would have ever dreamed he would lead a championship team. D-Stacks, 3 years ago, nobody thinks that he's going to win a Warrior Cup. All of a sudden, he shows up.
Was Warrior Cup
vision. He's big. He's skilled. He's fast. His game is smooth. Next thing you know, he's got a Warrior Cup. D-Stacks' Warrior Cup is Giannis's first ring.
I mean, I could see that. I thought, you know who I thought your comparison was going to be for him? I thought your comparison was going to be Jason Tatum.
I got a Tatum comparison coming up. I do.
Because Tatum is your guy. But all right. So D-Stacks, I'm going to hit you with one. And it might be, for any listeners, this might be an education piece right here. So D-Stacks and Tyson Ray are a combo comparison together. And if anybody knows who the knuckleheads are, you would get it. If anybody knows what this move right here means, all right, this is the antennas. If anybody knows what this means, you get it. D-Stacks is Darius Miles. Tyson Ray is Quentin Richardson.
Ooh.
Go back.
All right.
Go back. Look at they had spent 2 years on the Clippers together, and it felt like they spent 12. They had the best, and they would do this. They would do this little head nod thing here, and this was them saying like, "We have the antennas. We know it." All right. Quentin Richardson didn't come out of high school. All right. He spent 1 year in college. Darius Miles came straight out of high school. Let's be honest. That's what these guys are doing too. These guys entered the adult division, winning overalls. Here we are.
That's good.
Right.
I like that.
This is exactly what it is. So go back, if you look at the way Darius Miles plays, Darius Miles, he really didn't have like a mid-range game, right? He was like 6'9", 6'10", right? And they couldn't quite figure out, like, are you a power forward? Are you a small forward? Because you're real skinny, all right? What do? You sure are quick. You sure can move, all right? You could kind of shoot, but man, you just kind of are everywhere. That's Darren Payne, right? Now, as long as I made the comparison, I'm going to continue with Tyson Ray. So Quentin Richardson, people may not remember this. Quentin Richardson won an NBA three-point shootout contest, all right? Quentin Richardson, if you look at some of those highlights, was catching alley-oop reverse dunks. Quentin Richardson can do everything. Everything. All right. So much fun to watch. I would encourage any NBA fan to go out and watch the highlights of those two guys together. I doubt you guys can come up with a better comparison to those two. Darren Payne is Darius Miles. Tyson Ray is Quentin Richardson. Who you got for Tyson Ray?
I like that. I got a paired one too coming up. We'll do that next, but I'll go ahead and give you Tyson. So my Tyson, because of, I'm looking at my notes, not to remember who, but to remember all of the reasons. Young player.
All right.
Extremely exciting style of play.
I'm with you.
Huge wins so far, such as Tyson taking down Elijah in the open weight at Ocean States, as well as Tyson fighting Bailey very well at Battle of Atlanta last year. So big moments. Kind of sounds like when the Grizzlies knocked the Warriors out of the play-in tournament. Kind of sounds like Ja Morant in the series.
I could see that. That's pretty good.
Ja Morant.
I could see that comparison. I like that. I like mine better. But I like that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
All right, so I'll give you, if we're doing pairs, right, I'll give you my pair. And the two that I kept together
All right.
are Bailey Murphy and Brandon Ballou. And you were wondering when my Tatum comparison was going to come out, because my Jason Tatum is Bailey Murphy, right? Hear me out.
Whoa.
Young, but not brand new. Not Ja, not like that. He's been around a few years. People still think Jason Tatum's 19. He's like 23, right? Tatum's been around long enough, just like Bailey has now been around multiple years, right? The biggest difference is that Tatum has not achieved the mountaintop like Bailey has already achieved the mountaintop at list number of overalls that he's won here. To me, that's the difference. But then you look at the way that they play, right? Both extremely effective. Tatum's first team All-NBA this year. Bailey Murphy would unquestionably be first team All-NASCA, right? So similar level of play. And look at the way they play. When Bailey fights, especially when he's got a lead, you can tell he wants to do something spectacular. You can tell he wants it, and you can hear Joe yelling at him to do it. You can hear Joe yelling, spin on him, 720, right? You can hear Joe Greenhall yelling at Bailey Murphy to do those things.
Yeah.
And as a Celtics fan, every time Tatum touches the ball, he's trying to do something cool. Sidestep three, fadeaway, trying to posterize somebody, right? Trying to do some crazy pass, right? Tatum hunts for the highlight. Bailey hunts for the highlight. But they both, at the end of the day, get the results. You look at it and you're like, man, Tatum's trying all this crazy stuff. You look down, he's got 30, 10, and 8. And then you look at Bailey and he's trying crazy stuff. But you're like, well, he's winning the overall too. You see what I'm saying? So that's my comp. And then I extend that to Brandon Ballou. By the way, I think that straight up in general is a pretty good comp to the Celtics and the state of both of those teams right now.
Okay.
Brandon Ballou's your Marcus Smart. He's your heart. He's your grit. He's your tough guy. He's the guy that's going to stand in there and somebody late, just like Marcus Smart is going to stand in there and take the charge. That's my call.
No, I know on all of it. No. Especially not Brandon. All right, Bailey Murphy. Okay, if you're not going to say Bailey Murphy is like one of the best fighters in the world, I mean the best fighter in the world, what else would you say Bailey Murphy is? He's a highlight reel. So who is that? He's Vince Carter. Bailey Murphy is Vince Carter. He's Vinsanity. Remember, Vince Carter jumped over a 7-footer and didn't know it. He didn't even know that he jumped over him, right? This guy's been on interviews. See, like when he jumped over it and KG's like pushing him, he's like, yeah. They weren't celebrating the same thing. He was just celebrating a dunk, right? That was just a dunk because I'm just going up. If you're in my way, it will be bad for you because I'm going there, right? So you should just concede, not try to hit me, because if you do, you're going to get hit worse, right? That's Bailey Murphy. Bailey Murphy. We watched him jump over a 7-footer. Yeah, I watched Vince Carter one time. He goes up for a dunk. This is when he was on the Nets. When Shaq was on the Heat, they both go up, and it's Shaq, right? Shaq bodies him. Vince holds in the air, waits for Shaq to go down while he's still just in midair, it's just hanging, and then whoop-bam, just dunks it right on him. Like, you got to be kidding me. That's Bailey Murphy, man. How many times have you seen Bailey Murphy try that? We've seen, Fight Films has got a number of highlights on him when he's over there and he tried to spin and he missed. And what does he do? Just keep spinning, moves, ducks, moves around, boom, hook kick to your face. Get the heck out of here.
I feel you on that. But my problem is, at no point was Vince Carter in the conversation as the greatest basketball player on the planet. Bailey's in that conversation to be the best fighter on the planet.
But you know what we did say about Vince Carter? We've never seen anything physically like this in our lives. Our eyes have never seen things like this. That's what we were saying.
All right. I give you that. So who's your Brandon then?
My Brandon Ballou is a player in the 90s. All right. Exactly what you said. Grit, tough. John Starks.
Fair. That's fair.
People don't remember who John Starks was. John Starks was bagging groceries. All right. But was trying out for teams. All right. So the New York Knicks Give him a shot. He makes the squad. The New York Knicks need him to start playing. He starts scoring. He starts really going after it. This guy played like if he didn't play well, he's going to be back bagging groceries. Right? I mean, and I'm telling you, one time, John Starks was upset about a play. He's half court, and he just dribbling the ball. He takes the ball, and he chucks it at the shot clock. Breaks the shot clock. The game has to stop. Right? So you talk about pit bull toughness. This John Starks, right? That's Brandon Ballou. They're the same, right? And he, at one point, when they were in the playoffs, he was the star player. They went to the NBA Finals in 1999.
That's true.
He was
and
the guy.
You could compare that to Brandon's run to the heavyweight grand at Battle of Atlanta.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I like that. So we got to get things rolling here because we got a lot to go through. And my next one, I feel like is going to rile you up. I don't think there's any chance we agree on this one, but I'm going to go to Elijah Everill next.
Oh boy.
Because to me, Elijah Everill is Luka Doncic. Let me tell you why. I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming, right? Now, physique, get out of here. No comparison, right? That's not what I'm doing, right? But the European guy, right? Best in Europe, as Luka was. Luka was a EuroLeague MVP, right? Before he came over to the NBA. Elijah winning Wacos all the time before coming over to NASCA. Then is able to find great success. Elijah, first time he steps foot in America, maybe not the first time in America. First time he comes to a NASCA tournament, US Open, wins the whole thing, right? Luka comes over, instant superstar in the NBA. Rookie season, we all knew he was going to lead the Mavericks. He was going to be a superstar. Another comparison for those two is that when they made that transition, they were both being mentored by a legend in their shoes on that team.
I'll give you that.
Luka had Dirk, who was on the Mavs, and Elijah has been brought up by Ray, who was obviously on the All-Stars, much like Elijah is now, right? I don't think that Dirk and Ray are a comp. That wouldn't make any sense. But the presence of a legend to mentor and lead the way, combined with the fact, last thing, that Luka can do quite literally everything, and he has his number one best attribute, which is his scoring, whereas Elijah can do literally everything, and his number one.
No, he cannot. He can do
a lot of things. Elijah Everill can do a lot of things. Come on.
Nothing while picking his foot up. He can't do anything that involves picking his foot up.
What do you mean?
Be honest. Be honest. He can't if he's fighting and one foot is off of the ground, he's in danger.
Have you ever watched Elijah Everill sidekick? Come on.
No. You know why I haven't? Because he doesn't.
Oh my gosh. I hope Elijah watches this. Elijah, you got it. That sidekick is
Listen, I'm not discrediting the guy. I'm just saying with the truth of what it is. Okay. We watched him in the Waco World Championships. When we were watching all of his fights, he would go 3 rounds. Well, the ones that would make it 3 rounds. Foot would never pick up off the floor.
If you don't need it, why would you?
So that's what I'm saying, though. He can't do everything. We can't say, oh, he can do everything if we've never seen him do everything. Why would I say that? I can't say he can do it everything.
I've seen enough to say that he can do it. And by the way, I'll give you it a little bit because I wasn't thinking in terms of his tools in terms of techniques. I was referring to all of the general point fighting intangibles, speed, timing, fight IQ. I think Elijah's defense is underrated. He really doesn't give up many points on him at all. But people don't talk about his defense. What's up?
No, he's got a straight defensive, just like punch to the face. That's phenomenal.
Yes.
All right, my Elijah Everill.
Speed in the blitz.
My Elijah Everill. Well, speaking of blitz, you're gonna have to be dang fast. And Elijah Everill, he's probably the fastest in the world, right? So who's the fastest in the NBA? It's De'Aaron Fox. Elijah Everill is De'Aaron Fox.
Okay.
De'Aaron Fox. All right. When it's going to come out too much and we say, oh, he can do everything. That's a common thing. I don't like to say that too often. All right. Because actually, I feel like De'Aaron Fox is more versatile than Elijah. All right. Because we've already talked about that. All right. But the one thing that we know that De'Aaron Fox can do, right, better than anybody is he can go very fast. He's the fastest in the NBA. There's nobody faster than him. Problem is, the team he's on, he doesn't. The other team's defenders don't always have to guard the other guys, right? Because in point fighting, you can just go, boom. You can make a bad decision extremely fast. I'm not saying Elijah makes bad decisions, but you can make a bad decision extremely fast, and you'll be okay, right? Because you're that fast. You can't do that in the NBA. But as far as the way that they play, yeah, they're the same. De'Aaron Fox is Elijah Averill, and Elijah Averill is De'Aaron.
Play style, I like that. Now we've got a whole other set of topics that we want to get to on this show. Yep. So now we're going to move in. As I get to the bottom of my list, this was less of me trying to pick big name fighters and make a comparison, and this was more of like, I like the way this fits.
Yeah,
so I'm going to jump to Ryan George.
I got one.
Kind of like you were saying about how Bailey is a highlight guy. To me, what sets Bailey apart is that he's highlight guy that also has a claim at best in the world, right?
Yep.
Ryan George is quintessential highlight guy. If you, to quote Stephen A. Smith, because this is the perfect show to do it, Ryan George is box office, right? He's box office, right? That's what he is. You got to watch him fight. And in my opinion, his best NBA comp is Zach Levine.
No.
Very good. Huge highlights. And that one, like, off to the side thing that happened outside of NASCAR tournaments when Ryan won Pro Point, which was a big deal, and he did so impressively, is Zach Levine winning the dunk contest. Your turn.
No. You know why? Ryan George is tougher than Zach Levine.
Ooh.
Ryan George, okay. I feel like, and we've never seen this happen. I hope it doesn't happen to him. But I feel like somebody could just go, pow, and blow Ryan George's nose up, and he'll be like, just wipe it off. I'm fighting, right? And Zach Levine ain't doing that. Zach Levine's not doing that, all right? So, yeah, he's box office, but you got to think about it. Ryan George is intense. Ryan George is freaking tough. So he's Steven Jackson. And if you want to know tough, go back and watch the brawl at the Palace of Auburn Hills. All right. When the fans started throwing stuff, it was the fans' fault first. Sorry, Detroit fans. It was your fault. All right. They were throwing stuff right on Ron Artest. What do you think is going to happen when you start throwing projectiles at a crazy person? What did you think? He was just going to stand up and give you a thumbs up? No, he's taking your head off. But what happens? Here comes Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson goes, boom, all the way up. It was pulling fans off of Ron, decking them. That's going to happen to you if you try going in the ring while Ryan George is in it. Go ahead, storm the ring while Ryan's fighting. What do you think is going to happen to you? Right? He might spin an axe kick you in the face as you try that. He's intense. That's what's going to happen.
I dig that. I don't think anybody's got to worry about Ryan George punching a fan, but I see it. I see the comparison. I see
depends on the fan.
I dig it. That's fair. Okay. All right. I respect that. By the way, y'all tuning in, drop down your thoughts in the comments. Whose comment
that would be
better
fun.
between mine and Alex? If you got a different one, give us your own, right? Moving down the list. I got okay. So this is one. We talked about D-Stacks. We talked about Tyson. I wanted to find one for James Poor, so I hunted one down.
I got a good one. It's an all-timer.
And mine's current because I tried to keep it current.
Cool. Yeah, that was my fault.
And then it's fine. It actually leads to better comparisons because I felt limited. And as a Celtics fan, I'm going to say not the way this player has played in this series. But otherwise, James Poor, I like with Kyle Lowry because
I can see
he's that guy that is that piece that you need to be a contender, right? I have a theory on team fights. And part of my theory on team fights is that you need a guy who is able to move around the ring and not get scored on for a full minute and a half or 2 minutes.
100%. 100%.
You need that guy. And that guy is even better if he can be that guy and can also put up 5 or 6 points on somebody.
100%. You're right on that. 100%.
And James Poor is that guy. So just like James Poor is that piece that is the perfect complement for D-Stacks and Tyson,
yes,
Kyle Lowry is that complement on so many teams he's played for, including the DeRozan Raptors, the Kawhi Raptors, and now the Jimmy Butler Heat. Kyle Lowry is that guy and the passion. You watch the passion that James Poor has around the ring and in the ring. It's the exact same passion that Kyle Lowry has, whether he's on the bench or on the court. It's the exact same. Kyle Lowry hasn't played well in the Boston series because not many people play well against the Celtics.
Give me this, man.
But otherwise, James Poor, Kyle Lowry.
You know, I like that. And I think it's a good comparison. I just don't think it's the best one. And I think the best, and the only reason why is Kyle Lowry doesn't talk enough. I feel like if somebody stepped up and shoved Kyle Lowry might back down. Who won't back down? Rajon Rondo. There goes some Celtic stuff for you.
Ooh, okay.
Rajon Rondo.
All right.
That's him. And you know, I'll tell you why. Because for maybe like 5 or 6 years, Rajon Rondo would be good, right? Borderline all-star throughout the year. But then the playoffs come and you're like, who the heck is this guy? How did this happen? You're not even close to the same. You're so much better. You're probably the best person in the playoffs, right? And that's kind of James. James might be, well, and this is also maybe a credit to how deep that lightweight division is. That lightweight division is amazing, right? So he'll have some battles. Maybe he makes it out of the first round. Oh, man. All right, maybe you did that. It's OT. Okay, you made it out of there. You go to the next round. You win the division. Like, whew, man, that was tough to win the division. And then now he's just spreading guys. Spread. Oh, you're down by 8. Oh, man, too bad for you. Or you're down by 7. And then you got to go in a second round fighting Jack Felton. Well, man, you did the best you could. Never mind. You just won by 8 and you won the diamond ring. Excuse me. Who does that? Rajon Rondo would. There was a point in the Celtics when you had KG, Paul Pierce, not the Ray Allen time. All right. When you had KG and Paul Pierce, and Rajon Rondo was the best player on the team.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's James Poor.
And he was having 40-point, 12 assist playoff games, like on a nightly basis. It was crazy. So I like that. I like that a lot. Let's see. I got 4 more on my big list, and then we got a couple of all-timers. So we'll start moving faster here. Trying to think if I want to put some of these together, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to.
You want me to
we'll just try to go more rapid fire. All right. So I'm going to go to Cam Dawson because he's probably the biggest name on my list that we haven't done yet. And I'm going to go Cam Dawson with Joel Embiid. And hear me out, right? Because, again, like I said, heavyweights, forwards, and centers, that's how I did it, right? So Joel Embiid, one of the best centers in the game right now, right? Cam Dawson, one of the best heavyweights in the game. And if you look at this NBA season and you compare it to what we saw with the Warrior Cup, I think some of the expectations were similar, right? Both of them have some injury history. Joel Embiid is significant. Cam's coming off the back injury, right? But then the minute that everybody realized Cam's fighting in Chicago, if you would have taken bets right then, Cam was probably the favorite to win the whole thing because they realized Cam's fighting in Chicago. Much like with Philly this year, for much of the season, especially going into the playoffs after they got James Harden, everybody was like, this is Embiid's chance. Embiid's going to finally go and make the finals and try to get his ring. Right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, D-Stacks wound up winning the Warrior Cup. Philly's obviously not in the playoffs. So that story didn't wind up finishing how people expected, because a lot of people expected Philly in the finals. A lot of people expected Cam to win the Warrior Cup, but it just didn't happen this year. But in general, I like Joel Embiid, Cam Dawson.
So I like that comparison. Once again, I don't think it's the best. I think the best one for him is Patrick Ewing.
That's good.
Patrick Ewing, I mean, everybody knew about. I mean, he was destroying people in Georgetown. How old is Cam Dawson?
I think he's my age. I think he's 24.
Like 24? So when did we really see him tearing people apart? Was he like 16? Right?
He was young.
Exactly. Right? We were watching this guy. All right. Just destroy people, whether it was on Paul Mitchell, whether it was on Dojo, you name it. I mean, he's been, or Mass Mall even, like he's been killing people. Right. And he started out as a good, skilled middleweight. All right. And that was kind of like Patrick Ewing of Georgetown. He's good. He's tall. He's a big guy. He gets to New York and boom, he's just up there and he is just highlight reeling everything. He was the best player there. They were abysmal. They were horrible. Insert Patrick Ewing, they're in the NBA Finals. That's Cam Dawson.
That's a good one. I like it. We'll keep rolling. Next one I'm going to go with a Team Dojo teammate of Cam's, Devon Hopper. And this one I actually have two NBA comps. One of them I like better because they're more athletic, and D-Hop is an athletic fighter.
Sure.
I'm going to go with either Jaylen Brown, which I like better, or Chris Middleton. And the reason I like both of those is because Jaylen Brown and Chris Middleton kind of do the same thing, right? They're both, and I don't mean to call Devon Hopper a sidekick, but Jaylen Brown and Chris Middleton play the sidekick role. And here's where the compliment big time comes in. They have the ability to take over a game, right? And I think we saw a glimpse of that in Devon Hopper in Chicago as he was going through that open weight division. We saw that Devon Hopper, who everybody looks at and knows this guy is good. This guy's a good fighter. And we saw him start to get hot. And then all of a sudden, he was fighting his way all the way through the open weight, right? And so I think that that's a very similar comparison for a guy like a Chris Middleton or a Jaylen Brown, who people know are good, right? They know that these players are good. But at any given time, all of a sudden, like we saw in Game 5 with Jaylen Brown against Miami, they can just take over and be the best player on the team. So I like that. I want to hear what your thoughts are on Devon Hopper.
Well, I think Jaylen Brown is the best player on that team already. I think he's better than Jason Tatum, and that's not.
I love both of them, so I'm not.
He just is. So I think the best comparison for Devon Hopper is actually a guy named Rajon Bell. All right.
Yeah.
Rajon Bell started. I mean, he started as like a primetime defender, right? Mm-hmm. So when he was on the Utah Jazz and they were playing the Lakers, he was on Kobe, all right? And you ever hear Kobe talk about, Kobe would tell you that Rajon Bell is maybe one of the hardest people to ever defend him. Like he was the hardest person to score on because of how tough Rajon Bell was, right? So Rajon Bell carries that through. That's Devon Hopper, man. Devon Hopper, he is a tough dude. Devon Hopper has fought in like a bunch of freaking weight divisions, right? I think he's just most recently was middleweight, but we saw him at heavyweight, light heavyweight. I saw him at light middleweight. He's just fighting everything, right? He just can't figure out what weight he wants to be. That's kind of like Obeda, the one he works with the most. What is it with these tall, skinny guys that just can't figure out where they want to be, right? It doesn't matter what, maybe you have deep dish pizza one day and all of a sudden you're a heavyweight. What is it with you guys? Maybe I'm just envious because I'm not a tall, skinny guy. Anyway, no, I think Rajon Bell, the all-star, that's Devon Hopper.
I like that. And I like that Utah Jazz team because that was like the Darren Williams, Andre Kirilenko Jazz that had Rajon Bell. Anyway, I like that comp a lot because I liked 2000s NBA even though I was just a kid. Anyway, all right. I'm going to throw these last two together just so we can move things on a little bit quicker. So, and both of these are really obscure NBA players that I just thought fit these fighters well. I actually thought of the player first and then the fighter. So I like Enrique Latona as Jordan Poole, right? And the reason that I like that is because of the weapon that each of them have, where Enrique's kicking is his best weapon. And Jordan Poole's three, and the fact that he's potentially becoming the third Splash Brother, is what makes him a threat. But I think they both just need that extra step, right? Because I feel like a lot of people talk about Enrique's kicking in the same class as like all-time great kickers. And I want to see Enrique win a couple of more major titles before we start talking about like all-time kickers and Enrique being up there, right? He is a phenomenal kicker. He's a great kicker, but I want to see the accolades come with it. And Enrique's still young. He will get those as the years come. Much like I think with Jordan Poole playing for the Warriors, if he continues to develop, the Warriors are going to win more championships. Hopefully not this year because hopefully the Celtics win it. But I think Enrique is going to get those titles. I think Jordan Poole is going to get those titles. And I think that they each have like that one weapon that makes them special. And that's why I like that comparison. The other one I'll give really quickly, then I'll let you respond to it. I also like Luis Nunez, specifically for his performance at Ocean State Grand Nationals. I like him as Jose Alvarado. And for those of you who don't know who Jose Alvarado is, he was the point guard that played for the Pelicans, a sneaky good team, just like Team Diamond right now is a sneaky good team, right? And he was integral in the Pelicans making the playoffs and forcing 6 games against the number 1 seed Phoenix Suns, much like Luis Nunez was a very interesting part of that hybrid team they put together to fight at Ocean States. And when I watched that team fighting final on stage, I was like, it was Jack and Luis. And I was like, okay, well, part of what All-Stars must be trying to do here is have Jack stack up some points because he's Jack Felton. And Luis kept that fight close. Luis, I think, was only down 1 or 2 at the end of that fight, and he kept it close enough to give the rest of his team a chance to have a close fight for Avery and Elijah. And ultimately, Elijah was able to get the best of that round and wind up winning the team fight. But without Luis Nunez, that doesn't happen. Without Jose Alvarado, the defense that he played and the leadership that he showed for the Pelicans don't go 6 games against the Phoenix Suns. That's it. Enrique Latona, Luis Nunez. I like both of those.
All right, I'm going to address Luis first. So Luis, and this is, I'm not dogging him. He's just not to this level yet. Of everybody we've listed, everybody else has accomplished way more than Luis. Okay. So what is that in terms of the NBA? A role player, right? So Luis is really a role player. That's what this is, right? So it's just calling it how it is. But a good role player is TJ Ford. That's who he is. TJ Ford is a very good NBA player. He's a starter, never going to be an all-star. And I'm not saying that Luis is never going to be an all-star, but I can't say you're going to be if I've never seen it. You know what I mean? How can I say, oh yeah, you're going to be an potential all-star, but my eyes don't tell me that right now. This is whatever. What is this? Oh yeah. Because I can't control my animation. This is just the way this Italian was made. I don't know. All right. Now, let's get to Enrique Latona. Okay, so you mentioned the guy can kick. So there's a few things that we know about Enrique Latona. We know that he's going to kick. We know that he's likely not going to punch very much, maybe a follow-up when the guy has his back turned. And what else do we know about Enrique Latona? He's going to be on the ground a whole lot. So that would mean that his comparison has to be somebody who flops a whole lot. Somebody who spends their time trying to take charges, somebody who spends their time trying to draw fouls, but it's still a really good player. And it's aggravating because you watch this player play and you're like, if you just wouldn't be such a wimp, I would love watching you. That's Manny Ginobili. He's Manny Ginobili. And you look at it, you're like,
whoa. Are you being blasphemous to Manu Ginobili right now too?
No, I'm not. I like watching Manu Ginobili play. But if you watch Manu Ginobili play, he's on the ground a whole lot. He is. He just is. Look it up. I guarantee he probably is one of the floppiest players in the history of the game. Nobody is like James Harden, but let's just exclude that.
The reason that I don't agree with that comparison is because that I'm going to defend Enrique Latona here. I still give Enrique the benefit of the doubt on how often we see him on the ground.
Why?
I think that part of it is because of how often he kicks.
No.
Especially when he's fighting very physical fighters that defend kicks very physically, like a guy like Avery. If a kicker tries to kick on Avery the way that Enrique would try to, and Avery had that L guard and had the pushback defense, and you knew the punch was coming, and Enrique's trying to get out of the way of that, I can see Enrique legitimately falling down and not falling down with the intention of avoiding contact. So I still give Enrique the benefit of the doubt, but I'll admit to giving fighters the benefit of the doubt a lot because I'm not that guy. I'm not in the ring getting punched in the face or trying to punch in the face. I'm a forms and weapons guy. So when it comes to stuff like that and fighters talk about avoiding contact and guys fall down a lot and too many injury timeouts, I'm giving Enrique the benefit of the doubt. I see what people talk about. I get it. I see what they see, but I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt, at least for now.
There's no way I can. There's no way I can give him the benefit of the doubt because I kicked too. Look at your exact comparison. I kicked against him, all right? And I'm not saying Avery couldn't knock me down because he can, all right? But I didn't spend any time on the ground. I fought him a whole bunch of times, right? And no, man, and here's the thing. In the NBA, when the ref blows this whistle, when you flop, they have to stop playing. All right. When you flop and hit the ground, we have to stop fighting. But we're fighting. The only person who just decides this is not a fighting game is the person who just decides to throw themselves on the floor. All right. Well, then I guess you're playing a game. The rest of us are fighting. You're playing a game. So don't call yourself a fighter if you choose to play a game. And that's all right. You play a really good game, but you ain't like the rest of us. Just saying.
Enrique, I'm still going to call you a fighter, my guy. Anyway, now we're going to go to, okay, so in the interest of time, you had a list of all-time competitors that you have comparisons for. Sure. So I'm going to go through the list and just share my comparisons rapid fire, and then I'll let you kind of do your thing about, because you were passionate about this. You wanted to do these all-time fighters.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, and since I tried to keep everybody new school with new school, I'll keep old school with old school, I think, exclusively. Yeah. So, Rajon Rondo going Dirk Nowitzki.
My man.
Okay. So, I like that a lot. Length, tall.
Name it. Everything.
Exactly, right? So, I got that. Raymond Daniels, I said this in episode 1. You're going to call him Kobe. He is more than Kobe. Kobe was never considered to be the greatest player of all time, except for people that just weren't LeBron James fans. Rest his soul, Kobe. Raymond Daniels is Michael Jordan. End of discussion. Okay? You can argue that when you get there. Ross Levine, Larry Bird. When I did active players in episode 1, I called him LeBron because of what LeBron was doing at the time and the skill set that Ross has. When you look at all time, LeBron's still playing. You look at all time, Larry Bird, similar skill set, right level of player compared to all-time level of Ross Levine. I think they would rank similarly. Larry Bird's NBA rank and Ross's all-time fighter rank. I think that's similar, so I like that. Damon Gilbert is Kevin Garnett. I love me some Kevin Garnett. I love me some Damon Gilbert. The passion they play with. The Boston team, the Celtics, Paul Mitchell. I love it. So I'm going with Damon Gilbert as Kevin Garnett. Trevor Nash, because of his effectiveness and ability to win titles, and above all else, toughness. Dennis Rodman. I'm going Dennis Rodman for Trevor Nash. I like that a lot. And then you said Willie Hicks, and I couldn't think of a good one for Willie Hicks, so I'm just going to let you go off. You also said Jason Borelli. I actually like Vince Carter as Jason Borelli.
That's not a bad one.
Actor. Again, I think also similar kind of all-time rank. I think Jason Borelli higher in sport karate than Vince Carter is in NBA, but I think relatively similar. But there's my all-time. Your turn, because this is your thing. This is what you want.
All right. So it'll go pretty quick because we agree on a fair amount of these. So yes, Rajon Rondo is Dirk Nowitzki, right? Their play is almost the exact same, right? The way that they started their fighting careers is almost the same. So Roman is Dirk. Dirk is Roman. Raymond Daniels is Kobe Bryant. He is everything. Look at the Kobe. I don't like comparing people to Michael Jordan because I also don't think Michael Jordan is what everybody says he is. And Michael Jordan is now this Paul Bunyan-like figure. Like Michael Jordan, all he did was win, right? He played 15 years. He won 6 championships. That's a lot. But that leaves 9 years when he did not. So let's not try to pretend like Michael Jordan was just perfect. He wasn't, right? So if everyone wants to say, 6-0, and then that means you only played 6 years. No, you did not. You played 15. Okay, moving on. So I think Kobe is the better comparison. I actually feel like Kobe played in a more talent-filled time, and Kobe had tons and tons and tons of rivals. Who was MJ's rival? Who was MJ's rival? Maybe Clyde Drexler? Maybe, at the tail end of their career, Magic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Kobe had tons of rivals.
Just
look at all the rivals that Raymond had. Tons of rivals. Nobody happened to, match up with him and beat him. But moving on. Ross Levine is absolutely Larry Bird. 100%. They're the best. Yes. Ross Levine's Larry Bird. They call him Larry Legend. I've talked to people who just really believe Ross Levine is the greatest point fighter of all time. There is a fair amount of people who believe Ross Levine using 3 moves, back fist punch, sidekick, was the best fighter ever.
He's
right?
on my list. I think he's absolutely in that conversation.
He is. All right. So, okay, we're going to move on. No, Damon Gilbert is not Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett is a fair amount more talented than Damon Gilbert, but there is a 100% Damon Gilbert comparison that matches that intensity, that matches a lot of what Damon Gilbert is, and that's Draymond Green, the nut kicker, right?
No.
Don't even. I had him kicked. I've had him kicked. Teammates of his have had him kicked, all right? Don't even say it. No, what's Draymond Green, though? Draymond Green's still a champion. Draymond Green's still a defensive player of the year. Draymond Green's still an all-star. He is. Draymond Green still knocks down threes in playoff games. But don't play like he's like the big he ain't big ticket. He ain't the big ticket.
I am not accepting. So I do not like Draymond Green. I am not a Draymond Green fan. And so I interpret that as Paul Mitchell slander, which is why I turn around. And I do not accept Paul Mitchell slander on this podcast. I know that Alex also has some opinions about Zolt Maradi that we're not going to share tonight because I hold Zolt Maradi in extremely high regard.
Got a comparison for him too.
Anyway, we'll move on.
But so no,
Damon.
Draymond Green.
Trevor and Willie. I want to hear Trevor and Willie.
So Damon is not Kevin Garnett, but Trevor Nash is. Trevor Nash is that talented. Trevor Nash has all of the talent that he can do. All right. That's what KG is. KG can do it all. I mean, we watch Trevor Nash with like broken bones, torn ligaments out there fighting. It don't matter to him. That's how intense this guy is, right? Kevin Garnett really believes this stuff was like life and death, right? He's out there competing like he's fighting. This guy, just in warm-ups, listen, one of the greatest things that a person can do as a sports fan is to get, if not on the floor, as close to the floor as you can get at an NBA game. Go to a low-tier city. Oklahoma's probably expensive now. Anyway, go somewhere. Maybe go to Sacramento. Just buy a plane ticket. Go there. You could buy a plane ticket and go to a Sacramento Kings game, and it'd still be cheaper than going to a Clipper game. It absolutely would, right? Go there. Get one, and you will experience like sports at a little bit of a different level. And so I got a chance to do that a few times. And so when you watch Kevin Garnett's intensity is crazy. Not to mention Kevin Garnett is actually way taller than what he really is, right? That's Trevor Nash, right? This is what's strange is I always wanted to fight at meaningful fights against Trevor. I felt like, man, this would be a great opportunity to really test my skills against that guy, because I'd be like, that guy's got it. And it didn't happen. I lost and he didn't. It was a lot of that. But all right, moving on. Jason Borrelli, not Vince Carter, but Jason Borrelli is a kind of a highlight reel. Jason Borrelli's Allen Iverson. Jason Borrelli, people love Jason Borrelli. Right. And there are some people who will just rightfully so, look at Allen Iverson like I've never seen anything like that. All right. It's Jason freaking Borrelli. All right. Allen Iverson, you had him locked up. All right. Feeling like this guy's got nothing. All right. Look at that. The 2001 Lakers against the 2001 76ers. Right. The Lakers should have won that series in 3 games. Right. How in the world did the Sixers win a game, right? And there was the only game the Lakers lost that entire playoffs was that one game that Allen Iverson just said, watch me play. That's Jason Borrelli. All right. And then my last one, Willie Hicks, is Gary Payton. Gary Payton. Listen, you have to pick a star player. You have to pick somebody who's got phenomenal defense. You have to pick somebody who could do all the moves, but you have to pick somebody who can talk. Gary Payton will trash talk you. Willie Hicks will trash talk you. Willie Hicks and I, we fought. He will pick out if he thinks it's going to be him and somebody else like that weekend. Like, all right, this is probably going to be us. He'll start trash talking you like Friday afternoon, the whole day, and then Saturday morning, the whole day, and then Saturday night, the whole night until you guys fight. That's Willie Hicks. That's Gary Payton.
I like it. I like it. So those are our main comparisons. Now, we do have a couple of other NBA-related topics. Alex, what is your – I know you're on a little bit of a time crunch. What is your, absolutely we got to wrap this up by?
We could – you know what? You make the call, man. Go ahead.
Okay. We'll roll with it, and you let me know.
Sure.
But I want to definitely get to these other two NBA-related topics, which is we're going to do some annual award front runners. So, if NBA awards were NASCAR, sport, karate, who would be leading for those? We'll run through those quick. I'll just go down my list. You can go down yours. And then I also want to build a starting five with current point fighters because I think that's fun. But anyway, so my award frontrunners, because of everything that happened at Ocean States, and we have a small sample size between Warrior Cup competes Ocean States. So keep in mind sample size is small. But with what he's been able to do just at the Ocean States – and with what he was doing over in Europe with Waco, my MVP frontrunner right now is Elijah. Elijah's my MVP frontrunner. Defensive player of the year, because of what you talked about earlier in the show and the defense that he has combined with the fight IQ that improves his defense, Jack Felton is my depoy right now. Most improved player, the guy that came out and won the Warrior Cup, D-Stacks. Rookie of the year, giving the women's fighters some love because she went and she won an overall grand championship in her second tournament. If she was in Chicago, I don't know if she was in Chicago, but competes either her first or second tournament as an adult, Cassandra De La Barrera. So she's my rookie of the year frontrunner right now. And then coach of the year, this one's going to surprise some people. Raymond Daniels is my frontrunner for coach of the year right now for two reasons. Number one, what he's done with the All-Stars and the leadership that he gives for Elijah and obviously Jack and that whole crew, right? Because all of them learned from Ray, came up with Ray, whatever combination, right?
Right.
But also something that is very underrated that I've never heard anybody talk about Ray's coaching is the way that Ray is able to impact the fight. Because Ray will say things to the center judge that will get in that center judge's psychology. He will say things about, are you seeing this? Are you seeing that? I would have done this. He says these little things that when the center ref hears it, they know it's Raymond Daniels talking. And it has a way of influencing the psychology of the center ref, right? And to me, that's just gamesmanship. I don't think that's a bad thing. That's gamesmanship and good coaching. So Ray, I think, is a good front runner. And then, of course, who else has to be in that conversation? Jesse Ray. You got to put Jesse Ray in that conversation for what he's done with those next level guys. But because nobody talks about Ray's coaching, I'm going to talk about Ray's coaching. But now, give me your annual awards.
So I don't have a rookie of the year. I'm going to tell you that right now. All right. But here's what I'll say about the coaching since you just ended on that topic. I'm going to start off with that. So you are 100% right. People do not I don't think they understand how smart he is. So I think I've mentioned this on Inside Scoop before when he lost out early. I don't know. For some reason, they did the heavyweight before they did the middleweight. And so he fought Ross Levine and Ross Levine beat him. And so he was out and he was looking around. And here I am. I'm going to fight Elias Lemon for first place in the middleweight division. Right? Elias and I, fight each other all the time. Right? Both from Minnesota, both from NK. I'm pretty familiar with this fight. I know what to do here. I'm okay. So Ray's being a freaking cool guy he is. He goes, "Hey man, you don't got no one behind you?" I'm like, "No, man. No, Greg is over there. BJ's over there. I don't. It's all good." He goes, "Oh man, I'll come behind you. They get all them Paul Mitchell cats. I got you." But now what he starts telling me to do things that I wasn't. It was so it was so advanced that I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And I'll give you, so Elias, I'll give you a little tidbit here. So Elias has this short little pump where he slides and Steve Babcock says it perfectly. It's called safe pressure, where he'll move at you and pump it, but he won't extend his leg. He'll do it. And so he says, "All right, Alex, here's what I want you to do. I want you to put the heel of your palm out here, just like this part. I want you to put it right on his heel. I want this hand right back here. When you touch it, if you can deflect it, that's perfect. All right. If you can touch it and slip it over, but you have to angle at this exact angle, I'm already lost at this point because I've never done this while fighting him. And he goes, so I want to see if you can kind of slip it this way. If you can slip it up, that's fine. Just make sure that you sidestep. And I'm like, I'm gone. I can't do this. But he's Raymond Daniels. And he says, hey, I want to come coach you. So what are you going to do? You'd be like, no, I got this. No, you do what the heck he says. So I'm over here like, all right, I've never done this. And sure was a lot. So he touches my hand that's this close to me. I'm not focusing on my distancing because I'm focusing on what he told me to do. And then, bam, I'm getting kicked in the head. No, I don't get kicked in the head by Elias. What's going on here? I had to abort it. And I'm like, dude, that was so advanced. I don't know what the heck to do. He's so smart. I don't want to go on too far, but I would say I would put it a tie between him and Jesse Ray. I just wanted to put that little Raymond Daniels coaching tidbit out there. All right. For defensive player of the year, no, it's Cam Dawson. It's Cam Dawson. Ooh, okay. Cam Dawson, he makes people not want to hit him just by being Cam Dawson. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, the thing about Jack is that it doesn't matter how much you want to hit Jack, you can't get to him. Right. It is really freaking hard. Right. And like I mentioned, right. Roman has the range to get to anybody he wants. Couldn't touch him. Right. So I understand that, but I will say for right now, it's Cam. I don't think that the what was your award for Darren Payne? It was most improved?
Most improved, yeah.
No, I don't think it's Darren Payne. I actually, but I think it's someone close. I think it's Tyson Ray. I think Tyson Ray, skill-wise, is actually better. All right. I think Darren Payne has the potential to be like all world. Right. He does. But I think right now, Tyson's the better guy right now. So I think he has a deeper, harder division too. Look at that division that he's in. I think he's in the 140s. Everybody's in the 140s. There's so much talent in there, right? You got James Poor, you got Enrique Latona, you got Luis. Is he super light? He might be super light, right?
I'm terrible at keeping up with the precise.
Dude, there's so many people. I looked at a bracket on multiple tournaments, and I'm like, there's 10 people deep on who could win this whole division. I haven't seen something like that in an ASCA division in quite a while. So, no, I actually think most improved goes to Tyson. I really do.
And so, who's your MVP frontrunner?
Elijah.
Yeah,
Elijah.
Sense.
I mean, the way he did that, you can't say Bailey. We haven't seen the guy throw a punch. You know what I mean? So it's Elijah.
Yeah, like we haven't seen Bailey yet, so we got to see that happen.
Crazy.
For now, I
was mentioning this to Jeff. I was like, can you remember a time in sport karate recently where we have not seen a guy compete at all this deep? It's almost June, and we're still talking about him every day. I cannot remember a time where I think there's two things. Bailey has that much impact on the sport, and we haven't seen enough national events comparatively that we have seen in years past. So, yeah. But no, I see MVP front runner would be Elijah.
I vibe with that. And hey, Battle of Atlanta is where we're going to get our first taste.
Man.
Get to see him back in action. So I'm excited for that. We're running long on this show, so we're going to do the one more thing. And then, Alex, we got to have you back to just have general point fighting talk because this is great. And there's not many people that I can just talk point fighting with, and I love to talk point fighting. But anyway, So last one, you got to build a starting five for a basketball game using point fighters. So using point fighters, you build.
But they're playing basketball?
What's up?
But they're going to play basketball?
They're going to play basketball. Exactly.
And I'm using point fighters?
You're using point fighters to build a starting five. And mine is perfect, so it's going to make it easier for you, okay? And by the way, this week's #JRP challenge to get featured on next week's episode of the podcast is to post your lineup. If you had to go point guard to center for a basketball game, which point fighters would you put in? You can do all time. You can do current. I'm doing current. because of the things that I've mentioned already in this podcast and his IQ, assuming that IQ can transfer over to the basketball court, I want Jack Felton running the point.
Can he play basketball, though?
He's a leader. He's a leader. He's cool under pressure. That's why they call him the Iceman. Okay. I compared him to Chris Paul, who's the point guy. I want Jack Felton running the point. Okay.
Let's not be blasphemous now.
At the 2, I want somebody who actually hoops. I want somebody who can go get a bucket. I want somebody who can be the highlight. I want somebody who can be the Kobe. I want Bailey Murphy at the 2.
I bet he could dunk. All right, I get you there.
I got Bailey. At the 3, I want a long wing. I want a good defender, an athletic defender.
You want a lot of things.
I want D Stacks at the 3. Okay. And then at the 4 and 5, we need 2 guys, strong, tough, down low. Nobody's going to get past them.
I know where you're going.
At the 4, I need Avery. And at the 5, I need Cam Dawson.
Yeah.
You're not beating that starting 5 with point fighters. Jack at the point, Bailey at the 2, D Stacks at the 3, and then Avery and Cam. Come on. Come on.
I mean, that's a fun lineup. I think I want to go with someone I think could play basketball a little more, though. All right. So I'm going to pretend that we're actually going to play basketball. So I'm going to go the point, I think, would be Hamid Feruzzi. So this dude, both playing basketball, because I play with this guy, and in the ring, does not stop. He has a rule. I hope I'm not spoiling it, but whatever. He says, you do not sit still for 2 seconds. 1, 2, and he has to move. So he cannot sit still in one place for more than 2 seconds. He has to move. I'm like, that's exhausting. Nobody got energy for that. So I can't play on your team. No, maybe I can because you're the one doing the moving. So no, let's say, okay, that's you. You're doing that. So I'm going to need, if you're doing that, that sounds a little like Steve Nash, right? What else did Steve Nash have? Steve Nash had Dirk. Give me Roman. Get out there. Okay. Legs forever, right? But come on, man. I need me some Kobe in my life. Bring me Ray. Ray out there, who's like 6'3", but is still playing the 2. All right. But in this comparison, he'd be like 6'7", right? So, all right. Who else do I need, though?
So you got Ray at the 1. You got Ray at the 2. You got Roman at the what? The 5? The 4?
4.
The 4.
I don't want him against heavyweights.
So you need a 3 and a 7.
I might even, you know what? I might even just put him. I might put him at the 3. I think I put him at the 3. So if I put, Hamid at the 1, Ray at the 2, Roman at the 3. And I think what I'll do.
Roman at the 3. You think Roman's got handles to play the 3?
Roman fights middleweight.
I'll give it to you.
Do you know what I mean? So, we need some some attitude, because right now on this team, there's nobody who's going to bark back. Give me at the 4. Give me Jotty Tension.
Oh, good pick.
Give me Jotty Tension. And so there's a lot of scoring, right? But I mean, there's buckets everywhere. But on this one, I don't need someone to score. I need at the 5. I need some intimidation. I need some crazy. Like, this guy might hit his own teammates. I need BJ Carnahan. This dude is a special amount of crazy, right? Go ahead. You could YouTube some videos, right? This dude one time beat Jason Borelli for overall. The match is over. Time runs out. And he's arguing with the ref to get the last point. He goes, no, I scored. He scored. Like, dude, it's over. And Jason Borelli's like, BJ, it's okay. It's over. And he's like, no. My point. Like, you are a special kind of crazy, man. Right? My homie, by the way. My homie. Love that guy. But we need something that someone will want to run away from because of that. So my starting 5 would win.
I love that. And if we're going all time, I was thinking about it while you were doing it. I'll do it real quick because I think that I got an equally as tough, if not tougher, 4 and 5. But if I was going to do an all-time starting 5, I'm going KA at the 1, Kevin Thompson at the 1.
Okay.
Leadership, toughness, fast. Okay. KA at the 1. I'm going, this is obviously going to be a very Paul Mitchell bias. Going Pedro at the 2. I feel like Pedro's a 2. I feel it. It feels right. I'll put Pedro at the 2. I still want Ray. I want Ray on my squad too. I'm putting Ray at the 3 because Ray feels like a 3. That feels right to me. Okay. But then what I really want to talk about is my 4 and 5. Because at my 4 and 5, I'm going with Damon Gilbert, who, if you think he's Draymond Green, would be a pretty good 4, right? So I'm going Damon Gilbert at the 4. And come on, I don't know how you overlook this one. I'm going Steve Nasty Anderson at the 5. Nasty Anderson at the 5, man.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Anyway, so this has been a lot of fun. Hashtag JRP Challenge this week. Let me know what your starting 5 would be for a basketball team. I know there's some point fighters out there that are also big NBA fans. So I want you guys in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I want you guys participating. Again, some of my favorite lineups I'll feature on the show next week. But as for this episode, Alex, man, this has been a ton of fun. We got to get you back on this show again.
Hasn't it been? This has been great, man.
We do this forever, right? So thank you so much. Any final thoughts from you, my man?
No, this is fantastic, dude. I can't wait for the next one. How's it been 101 episodes before I came on? You were on Inside Scoop way early. You were in like season 1.
I know. That's my bad. I've been trying to get like everybody on this show, man. So I'm glad we finally got
you. All good, homie. All good.
And by the way, be on the lookout, y'all. Battle of Atlanta. Unfortunately, Alex is missing out because Alex did not come to Battle of Atlanta, or he's not coming. I can still change. But anyway, we are going to be doing several different podcast episodes at the Battle of Atlanta, one of which is going to be before the finals, ESPN-style show right here on the Black Belt Magazine Facebook, as well as the Battle of Atlanta Facebook page, the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I'm going to be joined by some other media personalities in the sport karate community. Maybe Alex Dingmann's co-host is going to be one of them. I'm not going to let any other identity slip, but Martial Arts Center Network and other media entities are going to be represented on that show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Be on the lookout for that. This has been episode 101 of the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Rudolph, and I'll see you next time.